Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Hillary Ellis, the lead emergency preparedness consultant from Ready or Not, and joining me is Celeste Knight, the outreach and travel coordinator. And this project is part of Northeast Document Conservation Center's preservation services. It is supported by California State Library. The Ready or Not team is located in San Diego County, Sacramento, Merced, and Los Angeles. Our team has past work experience in libraries, archives, museums, historic societies, and archaeology. The team includes Mario Gallardo, Özge Jansa-Üsten, Victoria Wong, Caroline Weiler, Jason Partida, and myself, who work on the emergency preparedness consultations in California. And we have our outreach and travel coordinator, Celeste Knight. The Ready or Not Cultural Heritage Disaster Preparedness Project is a 3-year initiative from 2022 to 2025, and we have $3.14 million from funding from the California state government, from the California State Library. And Ready or Not provides free on-site emergency assessments and recommendations for preparedness planning. And this includes archives, libraries, museums, cultural organizations, historic societies, and tribal nations. And we've already reached several community archives and universities and libraries in the first year of the project. Our first goal, to improve each organization's emergency planning. And we point you toward resources for funding, for facilities improvements or security infrastructure. We also encourage organizations to participate in regular annual safety trainings. And our consultants offer a variety of templates and toolkits to help you get started on your written disaster plan. The second project goal is to provide preservation assistance. So if you're a small organization, our consultants will provide assistance with collection risk assessment and risk mitigation. We examine what you're doing in terms of storage, access, and care of collections, and offer recommendations for best practices. And if you're like most places, you have limited resources. And one of our goals is to point you toward recommendations of things you can do for free or at very low cost with just a little bit of staff time, or we can point you toward grants to support improving the storage conditions for your collections. We also try to help you improve preservation conditions for your collection by offering suggestions for better ways to store things or better climate control, those sorts of recommendations. On the day of our state visit, our emergency preparedness consultant meets with the staff or volunteers. The consultation includes an interview and discussion with questions about your current practices and past experiences. So how did staff respond to facilities incidents like burst pipes or a roof leak? How did you handle being closed during the pandemic? And how would you respond if you had an earthquake or a landslide or a severe storm? In the second part of the visit, the group walks through the collection storage areas and other areas of the building, and the walkthrough gives us an opportunity to identify and assess risk. So we look at the facilities in terms of building, site, collection storage areas, and risk to people. Ready or Not consultants try to identify risk for your region or your location, and this takes an all hazards approach. Examples might be that your university is located near an earthquake fault line, or you're on the coast and you have the potential for landslide, or maybe your city has recently had severe storms and you watch the flooding cause sinkholes. Man-made disasters like airplane or train crash, terrorism, or civil disturbances, and climate change related hazards. So are wildfires coming closer to you than they were in past years where they were restricted only to forests in your area? Now they're in all the canyons. During risk assessment, our goal is to identify the threats most likely to occur and with the greatest impact to your operations. We review practices of collections risk assessment as well, if there are any. So maybe some people haven't started an integrated pest management plan, or they check temperature and relative humidity, but they don't data log it. They might monitor and control light or UV levels, or protect items in storage from physical damage. And we also talk about having controlled access or restricted access to collections items or materials at your archives. And then finally, we talk about inventory and cataloging as a form of intellectual control. So having finding aids or cataloging systems that are available when you're not on site in case you can't make it into your building. So if you've never seen a disaster plan, one template for that is the Pocket Response resource, and it's a single page front and back that folds up accordion style and fits into your pocket. The idea is that you would carry this with you in your emergency backpack or in your pocket or wallet at work, and it provides immediate access to emergency contact information and emergency response actions. It's not a full disaster plan, and it doesn't replace the trainings, drills, and policies that protect an organization. The first side has contact information. This might be institutional contacts, external contacts, and partner organizations, and also local offices for emergency services. You might also list alternate locations or a mutual aid partner, if you have one, to move operations off-site or evacuate collections to a safe place. And the second side is actions. You'll include step-by-step instructions for your personnel or volunteers, and you might want to include a list of assets, whether that's computers that hold vital information or physical collections or cultural heritage materials. And this is a very small, easy to complete type of plan. A more complete template helps you write a comprehensive disaster plan, and most people think of this as a binder full of information. This would include institutional information, services, equipment, supply list, and we offer sample disaster supply list. We encourage business continuity plans, especially if your organization serves as a public event venue or hosts large groups of people or has activities that generate revenue to support your organization. And we also encourage museums to have salvage priorities identified. So what is the most urgent collections material for salvage and recovery after a disaster? One aspect of prioritizing collections, especially for small organizations, is that it may cause volunteers or staff to kickstart collections inventory or other preservation needs assessments, such as digitization plans. We point participants to resources for grant funding. So this is where if you have limited resources and a large collection of materials, we want to help you take action on some of the recommendations that we offer in the assessment report after the site visit. And we try to find grants that are a good match for the types of projects and needs for each specific organization that we visit. And so some of those statewide ones might be California Natural Resources Agency, California State Libraries, or California Art Council. We also have national resources that we point people to, like IMLS and NEH grants. If you're a city or county agency, you might be eligible for Department of Health and Human Services block grants or other types of direct assistance. And then there's also FEMA. So if you actually experienced a natural disaster and it was declared a FEMA emergency, then you may be eligible to apply for assistance in that way. And coming up soon, we're having a webinar. NEDCC's webinar, Writing Your PAG, is free, and it's on October 31st, 2023. And we will be presenting information about PAG grants. So those are preservation assistance grants for smaller institutions from the National Endowment for the Humanities. They are relatively easy to apply for and launch successful preservation projects and programs at institutions across the country. And if you want to get ready for this round of applications, the webinar presents information about what should be considered when preparing to submit your application. The maximum grant award is $10,000, and that can go towards various aspects of preservation and collections care. So who can participate in Ready or Not? Well, any organization with cultural materials can participate. So we are particularly interested in reaching organizations in underserved or underrepresented communities because this is an opportunity to participate in a free project. The assessment is free and the report is free. So Ready or Not aims to strengthen cultural collections organizations to better serve socially vulnerable communities in a disaster. And this might mean that an organization develops plans to go beyond just business continuity and keeping the doors open, but to act as a network for support for their community. We've met with a lot of small archives and large museums and collections that are just getting started in disaster planning, regardless of the size of institution that they are. And we encourage any organization to reach out or check out the FAQ page. And this is our contact information if you're interested in scheduling a consultation or finding out more. Thank you.